Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Coffee on the Coast on the Coolest Coast. And I have a first-time guest, a virgin, if you will, to the show. His name is Tom Mlada, and he is the executive director of a great organization called LNRP. And we're going to get into that organization and what it does on the Lakeshore. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, good morning, Jason. Thanks so much for having me, for having us to talk a little bit about our story. Appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. And as you know, I've been involved with LNRP in the past, and I know what it is. But I want you to kind of explain to the folks what is LNRP and what is why should they care? What does LNRP do
Yeah,
in Manitowoc County and in the broader area?
great formative question. Thanks. And I guess probably start from the standpoint of behind the acronym, of course, there's a little bit more of a mouthful. So it's easier to say LNRP, but LNRP stands for Lakeshore Natural Resource Partnership. And I think that the name, when you fully say it, really encapsulates exactly who we are and what we do. First of all, we're really focused on natural resources, making sure that we protect, preserve, that we leave those in a better place for future generations throughout the coastline of Wisconsin. So our mission service area really is pretty expansive. It extends from Door County in the north down to Ozaukee County into the south, and we have partnerships that really bring us down into Milwaukee County, and we extend inland into Lake Winnebago. So when we say cultivating community and stewardship from the ledge to the lakeshore, that's really what it means, from the Niagara Escarpment Ledge right along Lake Winnebago, the east side there, all the way to the coastline of Lake Michigan. The partnership component, though, is I think what really is unique in terms of advancing our mission and our work. So, we always say it's really about projects and programming that get done through partnerships. And for us, that means a little bit of a unique model. We have 15 partner groups that we work very closely with throughout that mission service area. And they're really the ones, if you will, that are having the local level impact through their very focused work. And we're really collaborating with them and serving and supporting so that we think we can make that mission that much more expansive and meaningful and sustainable. So we have a team, LNRP, a team of 5+1, if you will. And the five really kind of serve more in the Manitowoc down to where I am in Grafton, so northern Ozaukee County area. But then we have a 6-team member who extends up into Door County. So we're really excited about the organization in terms of just impact right now. It's really critical in terms of Lake Michigan, of course, in this day and age, especially making sure that we're mindful of water quality and habitat protection and restoration activities, and really doing all we can, as I said earlier, to ensure we have the right balance in terms of land use and natural resource preservation, and obviously leaving those in a better place for future generations.
Right on. That sounds all great to me. Speaking of Lake Michigan and the lake levels lately, our own Neshota Beach here, which I consider the most beautiful beach in Wisconsin, up in Two Rivers, is disappearing.
Right.
Are you seeing a lot of situations with this year's lake levels, or are you looking at the long term, the long view? What type of issues does the organization deal with? Is it that short term stuff or the long term stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I guess my answer would be really a mix of both, because I think it needs to be a mix of both, if you will. So using, for example, your specific question in terms of lake water levels, well, we know that lake water levels are cyclical, but we also know that with climate change, and that is a reality. I mean, the climate is changing. I know there can be some debate among folks about the reasons why, but the reality is the climate is changing. And with that, we're seeing that those cycles, if you will, in terms of the lake water rise and fall, is becoming more compact. And with that, there is impact on local level communities. So in the short term, we're very mindful of that, because for all of us, of course, we love to go to the beach. And for local communities, that means tourism, and that means economic impact. And for us, honestly, Jason, that's one of the big things that I think we're trying to advance, is that these issues really have a triple bottom line consideration, and that we feel like LNRP, we are able to really kind of advance those conversations in a civil and constructive way that are mindful of all three. So environmental, economic, and social considerations. Because again, we all do want to recreate. We want to make use of the beaches. The local communities want us to do that, because not only is it wonderful, of course, to be in those communities, and that's a part of the identity of those communities, but there's economic impact to people visiting as well. So we're focused on issues like climate change that certainly have long-term impact. and long-term issues, but at the same time have short-term impact and short-term issues for local communities too. Right now, we're actually advancing a project that's called Coastal Resiliency. And so really trying to work with partners, municipal partners up and down the shoreline. Very gracious that we have some wonderful partners on board in terms of the funding side of the equation that enable that work to happen, like a Fund for Lake Michigan and others, the BRICO Fund, and who are always so supportive of the work we do, but also state and federal funders as well. And we're looking at local level communities, so Sheboygan, Manitowoc, Port Washington, Two Rivers, Algoma, really focused on making sure that we prepare our coastline for a more resilient future, which means that we're adaptable. We're able to mitigate some of those impacts in terms of climate change and other things, making sure that, obviously, again, from that triple bottom line perspective, that we are prepared for the future.
Awesome. And that's kind of an interesting segue into what I want to show some of our viewers right now. You sent me a link to a great video. And growing up in Sheboygan, I know a lot about the area. And Pigeon River was always one of my stomping grounds as a kid. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to watch here in just a second?
Yeah, it's funny you said that because, of course, we share this in common. I too hail from Sheboygan, born and raised, and Pigeon River was among my stomping grounds as well. The Lake Michigan shoreline, but also some of those inland areas. And it is really neat to be now a part of some of these projects from a restoration standpoint, where we're really making sure from a habitat and also water quality perspective that we're cleaning these areas up, that we're restoring and returning them, if you will, to their more of their natural state. And that has a downline impact, of course, in terms of Lake Michigan and just the larger basin and our watersheds that we serve. So for us, the ability to clean out some of these invasives, which you'll see as Pigeon River being a great example of that, and again, restore some of the natural habitat, great impact for wildlife, but also a really critical impact for water quality. And, you know, we like to say we all live on the water. And that being the case, of course, it's really essential we're mindful of water quality related issues. So this project, great example of a collaborative project, as you'll see with the funding partners and the on the ground partners who helped us get this work done.
Awesome. Let's take a look at that. I'm just going to take me a second to get it queued up.
Yeah, thanks for playing that. And you know, I'm mindful of something that popped up there too, Jason, which was the public access component. And I think, you know, sort of I hail from Sheboygan, born and raised, and then my family and I, we lived in Port Washington for 20 years and had a role in municipal level leadership there, and really mindful of public access to natural spaces and open areas for all. You know, so then I served for a year and a half with the Ozaukee Washington Land Trust, and they steward 32 nature preserves, 2,000 acres of land that they too, in perpetuity, are stewarding and keeping available to the public. Partners like that, and of course, we, LNRP, are proud to really make our projects ensure that public access is a component as well. In this day and age, again, we're seeing sort of that environmental justice theme just really essential, I think, not only in terms of connecting people back to nature and the important role that nature plays in our lives from an environmental, economic, and social standpoint, but just also from a sense of providing respite, recreation. I mean, it's so essential that we make spaces like this really available to all people.
Yeah, you know, being out in nature, I'm a big fan of John Muir, and being out in nature is such a stress relief for me. I have a business, I've got a lot of things going on, and being able to go to a pristine natural setting just helps everybody involved. And you know, for a long time in the 70s and into the 80s and 90s, of course, we haven't been taking care of our natural resources like we should. And I just have to, you know, because it's my wife, I have to bring up my comments here that we just got. Tina says, thank you for the important work that you and your partners are doing. Our coast and inland waters is one of our most precious resources. And bringing that to the forefront is so super essential. And we really appreciate that on the Coolest Coast. So I'm going to pull up your website information here. So if people want to learn more about LNRP and get involved and really get into the nuts and bolts of what you guys do, they can go to the lnrp.org website, correct?
That's correct. And our Facebook page as well. And I think, again, the unique model that LNRP really serves in terms of providing support for and collaboration with 15 local partner groups means that no matter where you live along the coastline or inland to Lake Winnebago, you're apt to find a partner group of ours that we're working very closely with and that you can get involved with in terms of that mission and work if you are really passionate about it as well. So, everything from beach cleanups to invasive removal, to training on the ground in terms of tree identification. So we create an inventory of tree species. Again, you can do that with our partner groups. You can do that with LNRP as a larger organization. And you can do that on your own as well. That's the great part about obviously having that individual impact. Anytime that you're out in one of these spaces, you can help to advance it. So yeah, please, by all means, visit. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a chance to visit our website or our Facebook page, let us know if you'd like to get involved. We'd love to have you playing a role in our mission and our work. The bottom line is everybody genuinely, Jason, can have an impact. I'm going to sort of pull back a great line that my dad used to say. He was a conservationist, an outdoorsman, naturalist. I mean, he was a great role model for me, my personal hero in this area. And he was fond of saying there is no such thing as a dress rehearsal in the way we care for our greatest natural resources. And it's so true. To your point, while we may not have, in theory, cared for them in the way we should have in the past, we're in the moment, in the now. And we have an ability, I think that there's a larger consciousness, if you will, right now about the importance of these spaces, about the critical role that we play in caretaking for them and stewarding them for future generations. And by all means, we'd love to have you playing a role in LNRP in terms of advancing our work to do just that.
Awesome. So that is a call out to the viewership, as well as us here on the Coolest Coast. We are so thankful that this organization exists and is functioning in an effective way. So if you want to get involved, speaking to the people watching this, if you want to get involved, go to lnrp.org. Go to their Facebook page, check out the organization. They're doing really awesome things. And I can't wait to have Tom or other representatives from the organization back on the program to tell us about all the awesome work you guys are doing. So this is just really an introduction to get your wet your whistle a little bit about what LNRP does. So thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate your time and all the efforts you guys are doing over there to really protect our natural resources here on the Coolest Coast.
Hey, thanks so much again for having me, Jason. Thanks to you and Tina and everybody, obviously, who promotes that Coolest Coast concept. We know it's the case. And so, of course, we're pretty spoiled in that regard. But then with that sense of opportunity, of course, comes a special responsibility. So let's be in this together.
Sounds like a plan, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so
much. Take care, Jason.